Hey guys, getting ready to jump into 1986's debut effort from Cinderella, Night Songs. Let's go! So, released in the summer of 1986, it would actually be the following year, 1987, before I ended up discovering this album, and actually a lot of the music that came out during the same time. You've got to remember, given my age and everything, that I turned 12 in January of 87, and that was around the time that I was really getting into the hard rock music. That was when I went to my very first concert, was January of 87. Really started jumping in and exposing myself to all these different bands and different music, and I was instantly drawn to this band and this album in particular because of the awesome cover with the purple and the black motif going and the big hair.
And I shot it.
So Mark, man, good to talk to you.
Hey Larry, how you doing? I love your pieces. It's getting a lot of love.
I was talking about the Night Songs album. Tell me a little bit about how that came to be.
It was supposed to look like it's at night because it's called Night Songs. So I scheduled the shoot for like 3 p.m, where the sun is at its brightest. And I had smoke machines, I had lights with strobes. And Tom was like, are we gonna wait until it gets dark? And I'm like, no. I shoot day for night. He's like, day for night? What does that mean?
And I don't know what the fuck that meant.
I go, just trust me. He's like, all right. He kind of smiled. And this is the first time we met. I never knew him before this. We just met first time on the photo shoot. I was hired by the record company and management. And so we just went with it. And I positioned all the band, threw some smoke on, and just grabbed some photos. And we shot for about 2 hours. We shot until it got dark, actually. And then once it got dark, I said, okay, that's a wrap. Later on, after he saw it, he's like, man, you're right.
It looked like it was nighttime. So Mark Weiss is a fucking genius.
I've been pretty open about the fact that at least early on, I was certainly image over substance. I mean, image was more important than the actual content of the record. So if an album was going to grab 12-year-old or 13-year-old Larry's attention, it was going to have something on it that make it stand out and draw me to it. And this album cover fit the bill for that, and I am super stoked that I found it back then. I got to see Cinderella open for Bon Jovi back in 1987 before Cinderella, I guess, made it big enough to be a headliner. Now the seats were in the nosebleeds, and I've seen them tons of times since then. More on that a little bit later, but really glad that I got to see them early on and through their progression as they go. I really think that Cinderella kind of unfairly gets grouped into the hair metal glam scene, and I got to put that squarely on their shoulders because of the image that they chose for that album. It certainly appealed to the young Larry, and it certainly was the trend at the time. But really and truly, musically, I've always thought that they're extremely underrated as musicians. And other than this album where they have this image, for the rest of their careers, that's on the back shelf. That's not what they looked like. They did not hold themselves out to be a hair metal band, if you will, other than on this debut album. And so for that reason, I can't say it's not their fault that they get grouped in that way. I just think it's a little unfair for them to be held in the same regards as like Winger and Warrant and some of the other bands like that. And I really enjoyed going back and listening to this album in its entirety and looking forward to the review. All right, best song on the album, for me, it's going to be Nobody's Fool. I I was always kind of drawn to Nobody's Fool. I guess maybe that melodic sound compared to Shake Me or Somebody Save Me that most of my friends, kind of would put as their best song. There's just something about Nobody's Fool. I just really, really like the tone of it and the eerie start and everything. And I have to say that probably furthering my prejudice towards that song is having seen it performed live so many times. It's definitely one of the highlights of a concert that you'll go see if you get to go see Tom Kiefer, or if you had a chance to see Cinderella before the passing of Jeff LaBar. Just seeing that performance just kind of reiterated my already made up mind that that was the best song. All right, worst song for me on this, I'm going with Hell on Wheels. Like so many of the songs, doesn't fall in the category of a bad song at all. That's not the case at all. It's just the worst one on this album. It really feels like they needed an extra song to fill up some space so they could release an album, so they threw this one on there. It's not bad. It sounds pretty much like the rest of the album. If you dig this album, you're going to like this song too. But I have to pick a worst if I'm going to pick a best, so that's why this one gets the vote on that. Most overrated song on the album Night Songs. And this was one of the more difficult decisions that I had to make when I was categorizing songs. So I hate to say it, the most overrated song is going to be Night Songs. Yeah, the title track. And let me be real clear, I love that song. I think I rated it a 9 when I was doing the individual ratings. But for it to be overrated, my thought process was, what makes something overrated? It's something that has a lot of attention given to it, perhaps unnecessarily so. So of the hits that were available on this album, Night Songs was the weakest for me of the major hits on the album. Still a phenomenal song, but because it was the weakest of the big songs, so to speak, I had to tag it with the overrated. Again, love the song, love the album, but fair is fair. If we have to pick one for each category, that's the one I have to go with. Biggest good surprise on the album for me is going to be Nothing for Nothing. Again, this is one of those songs that just kind of flew under the radar for me. It really hits pretty hard, and it's a great tune. I think it's certainly one that falls in that category. As if they had made a music video for it, it probably would be a hit. Not so sure why I would have normally skipped over this one in the past, but certainly happy to have it back in the rotation now. All right, biggest letdown on this album for me is Back Home Again. And I really couldn't tell you why. I remembered really liking this song back in the day. And I don't dislike the song, but the song starts and, kind of like the song Hell on Wheels on the same album. Not bad songs, just uneventful, unsure why I had ever held it in higher regard. It's an averagely good rock song. All right, guys, time for the overall ranking on this one, and I'm going to have to crank this one all the way up to a 9. Yep, I think it's that good. It is that good of a hair metal album from beginning to end. It's one of those albums you can just put on, listen to, forget the world's troubles, and go back to the 80s when you didn't have anything at all to worry about. It's what I love about this album and the overall sound. Took some time to get used to Tom Kiefer's vocal style, maybe when I first heard the band, but no, it fits right in. There's really nothing on this album that is a bad song. And the few songs that are a little bit lacking are more than made up for with the hits and the singles and the songs that everybody most closely associates with Cinderella. You really can't go wrong with Night Songs. All right, guys, there you have it. I just listened to and ranked Cinderella's Night Songs, their 1986 debut album. Tell me what you think. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and make sure you leave comments on which songs you thought maybe I overlooked on this, or which songs I just plain out got it wrong on. I'm always interested to hear what you guys think. I'm always interested to see what other albums you want me to review from beginning to end. So as long as you keep commenting, I'll keep coming back and doing the videos. I appreciate you watching Larry on Eric and Darrell.